Hey guys, it's Heather the Crochet Witch. How are you guys doing today? So welcome to the hashtag movie and stitch. I think I have that right. I keep confusing the two different movie things now, but I'm almost done with this. The hashtag movie and stitch, why the letter Y edition, that I'm determined to finish, that was started like 3 years ago, I think at this point, maybe 2 years ago, but 3 years ago at the most, by Terry from the Yarn Joy podcast. If you hadn't followed along with them, if you hadn't followed along with these when they started, it was a segment Terry had started. It was 4 lovely ladies who had started it together, and a bunch of people joined in. The hashtag was there. You could probably still find all the videos. And the idea was to watch movies A through Z, do projects or a project inspired by said movies. Your girl is in all like horror movies. My last one was kind of sci-fi instead of horror, but I did my best. With X, it was a little tricky. But I'm almost done finally. This project had kind of sat around, and I just decided it needed to be finished. I'm on my finishing kick, and here we are. So the original details of the ladies and their channels, they're all going to be still down below, as well as like the I used like my own pattern for the squares and the join and everything like that. All the tutorials that I have for that are going to be linked down below. But the movie, why is the movie, and the movie that I chose is You're Next. There we go. No glare maybe would be better. You're Next. If you have never seen it, when did this movie has been out for quite a while, 2013. So it's a 10-year-old movie. I saw it when it came out in theaters. I loved this movie. Let me just say, I'm gonna do like a quick review. I didn't look up trivia for it. I was really like bad with that, because I am trying to make these last few as short and painless for you guys as possible, and yet still get finished. But basically, there's a group of well-to-do people. The movie starts off with like kind of like the more of maybe the black sheep, the outcast of the family. He's not per se the black sheep necessarily, but he's with this girl. They had just started dating. The family did not approve. The family's kind of like mom and dad are super rich. I found one thing, this isn't trivia, but it's more like Heather trivia. The house that they chose, they were all going to this house that mom and dad chose as like it was a fixer-upper. It was in their eyes not that great of a house to begin with. They're fixing it up. That's like their retirement project, I guess. And that house is so nice. Like to folks like me, that house is so nice. I will say, there's been a house in my town that like before David and I ever moved in together, long before that actually, I've had my eye on this house. And even recently, this house has gone up for sale here in our town. And I was like joking with him, and I was like, that's going to be my yarn house. Like, I want that house. It's really pricey. It's definitely out of any kind of budget. Like, I would never be able to afford a second house as a yarn house, or like if anything happened with David and I had to buy a house, I would never be able to afford that house. That's for sure. But that's like what I would pick if I could. And that house looks like their house that they're calling like a fixer-upper, and I think it's like a really nice looking house. So that just being said, if you've ever seen that movie, like that's like a house that I really, really like around here. Like it's not the same house, but I'm saying they look the same. So I found that kind of funny, that their junk is my treasure. It is a really nice house though, I mean, from the outside. Anyway. So yeah, mom and dad have that kind of money, basically. And they have like 4 kids, I think. And this is probably, I'm guessing, the youngest. No, it's not even the youngest. Second youngest, the youngest boy. Because the girl shows up, the youngest girl shows up. And she seems like the very sweetest one. Her boyfriend seems very sweet and everything. They're having like a family. I thought it was Thanksgiving the first time I watched it. But they're just having like a get-together family dinner. So the youngest one, her boyfriend, they seem very sweet and everything. This one though, at the beginning of the movie, he's driving there and talking to his girlfriend, and they're basically talking about how the family's like kind of not going to accept her because he's a professor and she's his student, or was his student or whatever, and they know it's going to be kind of like awkward or whatever. And they're right. Like when they get there, basically the older brother is kind of like looking down at the girl and like, oh, why did you have to bring her here? And like, they're kind of nasty to her. It's pretty rude. And they sit down to dinner, and like almost immediately, like something crazy happens. And I think they hear a noise outside, and the youngest girl's boyfriend gets up to look out the window, and he gets shot in the head with an arrow and obviously doesn't make it. So he's like the first fatality, and just chaos erupts from there. Like it's basically a group of outside guys who are unknown to the family. And I mean, I am going to have a spoiler here. I'm just going to tell you the whole plot in a nutshell. So like if you don't want to hear it, you'll want to skip to the yarny portion of this. But they're unknown to the family. And they just start picking them off one by one. Like the one girl tries to run out of the house to get help, and oh my gosh, she just gets by a wire. It's crazy how they've thought of like everything. Well, these guys end up being like military trained killers that, surprise, surprise, were for hire. And the ones that end up alive are not the oldest brother, and not the younger professor. Well, the younger professor brother had ran out for help to neighbors' houses, and left the girlfriend there that the family didn't like. And then there was the other middle brother. So it was basically the two middle children that were alive. And then this girlfriend. The girlfriend was kicking butt. She was like stabbing the bad guys and trying to save the brothers and stuff, and like setting up traps for the bad guys. And she was like a survivalist. Like nobody expected her to be like killing off these military trained guys. But basically what it was the military trained guys were hired by the other ones to kill off the family so they could get their inheritance. But I mean, the movie was crazy, like all the way through. Like, but it's still your stabby horror, you know. It's good. Like, I know I didn't do justice to the whole thing, and that's because I'm not trying to keep you here forever, and hopefully you'll just prefer to watch it yourself. But because Maverick's waiting on me also. He was out there sleeping, and I hear him just waking up. So, but yeah, like here's a picture of that. This is not glary. Try to get the glare off it. This is the girlfriend, and she's just insane. Like, there's a plot twist at the end where I'll just leave it at that. Like, you expect her to just get out unscathed, and I'll leave it at that. I won't tell you that part, but it's crazy. Like, seeing it now, having forgotten a lot of the stuff too, I was like, oh, what? Oh my gosh, you know. But the first time seeing it was like a total trip. Like, I very much suggest watching it. Yeah, it's really good. So that was my why movie. Yeah, so let's talk about my project. Now, like I said, the links below are like granny squares. They're solid granny squares that I've done. I've talked about the specific yarn, and in the next one, because it'll be like the wrap-up one, I will talk more in depth about the yarn again that I'm using and everything like that. But for now, I just want to show you, since we've been following along, I've had these appliques, these different little ghosty appliques, because obviously I'm doing a spooky themed blanket. I got some of them sewn on. I wanted to show you. Maverick's getting impatient out there. I can hear him. Like, here is one of them. I just started placing them randomly and sewing them in. So I think they ended up looking really cute. I will say these are made with Red Heart with Love metallic, so if it picks up in my light a little sparkle to it, that is why. So one on there, I got multiple ones, but I tried to space them out. Let me see. Here's another one. This one's a little bit bigger, but he's just kind of chilling here in the middle of the blanket. And then the part I've been waiting to show you, I did sew on the tombstone, deciding maybe I could shape it, and I shaped it a little, and I am happier with it on the blanket, I will say that. But here's how that turned out. And I'm especially happier with it, I think, because there's a ghosty next to it. Like I had the ghosty kind of coming out. And I don't know how well it translates on camera, but they're kind of like, because this is the bigger ghosty, and obviously this tombstone was pretty big compared to some of the ghosts, it's got like a puff effect. So it's almost like 3D puffed out. If you can tell, I don't know. I really am happy with that. Come on, Heather, get your stuff together. Like when I show this off next week, I'll show you like pictures of it so it's all laid out so you'll be able to see it better, or like hung up so you can see it better. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I like it a lot. The other thing that I managed to get done, so I have 3 more ghosties to sew on, I think one of each size, to pick where they're going. And then I made, with some of the last of this cloud cake that I had, I made this, he turned out pretty big, but I made this bat applique also that I thought might go like up in the corner. And he's so soft to feel. Just, I don't know, this is such a comforty blanket to begin with. I just thought it might be nice to have him on there also. And maybe if I have time, make a smaller version with a smaller hook also. But I really, really, really like him. And I think he turned out really cute. And I think sewn on, he'll look really, really cute. So I think he's going on there too. It's like he's a little curly right now with his ears and stuff, but I like sewn on, I think like this ear will stretch up a little bit and he'll look very cute. So I'm pretty happy with it. But that's all I have left of this blanket, you guys. So I'm pretty excited. So let's talk about my Z movie. Actually, I'll try to get this folded up while we talk about it. And also, the other thing I wanted to talk about too, so maybe you can give me a suggestion. I think I know what I'm doing, but we can talk about it here, and maybe I'll decide between now and then. But so the yarn that I used for the border and for bordering all the squares was that Joann's Classic yarn, I think it's called. And I'll show it to you next week too. But I have a lot of it left. Like I didn't use much of any of the skeins because I used 3 colors over all of this, right? And I am all about using up my yarn and using up my scraps and all that. I'm obviously not just going to toss it. And they go so well together and they're very Halloween-y. I'm kind of thinking maybe I will just make a follow-up, like a granny square blanket out of it. And it'll be a smaller blanket than this because I think it will be. I don't know if I have enough of this color to make like a reverse, like join it with this. I might have to join it with just black again or something like that. But I think I might do squares out of it, or do, I don't know, maybe like a cowl, like a hat and cowl or something out of it, to have it just for, it's very soft yarn, right? It's these colors right here. And maybe just, like I said, add black to it. Or if I'm doing a hat and cowl, I probably could add this to it, what I have left. I have less than 1 skein of this, and it's a Karen Jumbo. I don't know. What do you guys think I should do with it? Let me know. Anyway, though, the Z movie I'm going to do is going to have to be, I don't have a DVD copy, so I will try to find a picture and edit it in here to show you. But for Z, I didn't want to do a zombie movie. I'm not a big fan of zombies, surprisingly. And there's just, it's a lot of, zombies are a lot, right? Like there's all the Z movies are zombies, it seems like. So I am going to go with Zodiac. I'll put it up right here. It's a Jake Gyllenhaal movie. I have seen it before. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. It's about a serial killer. It's about the Zodiac serial killer. If you are not familiar, I did a short talk about Zodiac actually last Halloween during the Vlogtober. And I'm thinking I'm going to cover him a lot more in depth when I start my Crochet and Crime, because I'm really fascinated by the Zodiac killer. So, maybe that will inspire me to finally start my Crochet and Crime if I watch that and get more inspired by it. So 2 for 1 there. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for the next one, and then I'll have a completed blanket, and I will be so happy that this will be done, and hopefully you guys will be too. But yeah, so that's all I have for you today with this and I will let you go. But thank you for those of you guys who especially have like joined me along the way. Thank you for everybody who's been from the beginning, but thank you for those of you who have picked up along the way and joined in and like watched my progress, and who've been happy to see it done with me. I appreciate that. Yeah, I can't thank you enough. I really do appreciate that. I will talk to you guys later. I love you. Bye, guys.